Hello. Uh-oh. Butt modding. Sorry about that. Hey, Rach, Sin, J-May, Alan, Warrior Grandma. Good evening, chatters and panel. It's just me. Hey, Angela. I sent Wendy an invite, but I don't think she is around. Hey, Christy. Hey, Betty. I don't know how many people, y'all know how the true crime stuff goes here. Hey, Soft Reset, here for this topic. What's good, all? What a topic, huh? Um, did everybody watch today? Angela, did I say hi to you? Emily, you're up late. Yeah, wild modding. 11 male, 7 female. Really? Hey, Snowline. Did you watch today? Hey, Sandarella. We talking crime? Yes. Or did you watch the Leticia Stauch? Say Stauch. It's Stauch. You watched Fur Baby Lover? Tammy Clips. Yes, the new part of the video broke my heart. Me too. I never heard that before. You didn't watch? Oh my goodness, so good. So good. Hey, Body Cap. I think that's all they had today was the opening statements, and the audio sucked. Hey, Anna. It did. The audio was just terrible, and they're only allowing a particular view. Stank. I thought the defense did an okay job until the omelet and that. What? Right. Hey, Native Pride. I did not watch. Gonna be busy. Gonna be a busy month for you. Oh. T clipped that out. She's insane. It makes me mad. Of course she clipped that out. Oh my goodness. But left in the part where he said, I'm bleeding. It's gonna be tough with this trial and Lori Daybell. Well, but hey, Fran, are they gonna do any of the Daybell trial? Are they gonna stream it? Because I don't think they are. I think that they ruled out streaming. Just like with this one, they're making it yeah, it got me. We got a solid judge on this. I don't know if we have a solid judge on this. Let's see if we can pull up and hear the newly released. Mm-mm. No, they only have the I'm bleeding one out that I can find. Practicing my juggling when I should have been mighty. I think Daybell is going to be forever. See, there's so many twists and turns in the Daybell trial. My gosh. Did you check out Grandma Tracy Nix? Mm-mm. No, this case has been going on a hot ass minute. Can someone remind me the state? I believe it's South Carolina. Like our last case, I was also relieved to know the daughter will testify for not prostitution, prosecution. Hey, Yorkie. Yeah, I'm glad too, because I think that that's going to be a big part of the mental health thing. Because have y'all seen? There's a video out there of her daughter wishing her a happy Mother's Day. What a good mom you are. And I think that's going to show this jury, you know what? She's not crazy. She hated her stepson. Look at her Google searches. Hey, Lynn. I know them Carolinas. I agree, Cinderella. Sorry for those fire hose of opinions, but I will not remember them if I don't get them out. You know what? You're fine. You are absolutely fine. I love an opinion. Even if it differs with mine, I love it. Um, but yeah, I don't, you said he did a good job. Hey, Lacey, good to see you. You're cooking late. Um, the only, because if you ask me, we're going to have another Jodi Arias here, obviously. I wonder if she'll take the stand. She may, because she was going to defend herself. So that tells me she's probably going to take the stand. And I was so disappointed when she wasn't defending herself. But um, when you have that many, different stories, like one, he's at his friend's house. Two, let's see, what was it? She was raped by one guy and then he was kidnapped. Three, raped by a different guy and he was kidnapped. Yeah, me too, Alan. I think she'll take the stand. Me too, soft reset. We've been ready for that. They moved it again. Hey, Emerald Lips. Well, hello, Mary. And if anybody wants to come up, my co-host isn't here. There's a link if you want to come up and discuss the trial. I don't stay on for a real long time, but just saw the update hearing on that. Oh my, yeah, I can't. I'm excited. Kathy, how are you? And like we said, all we have is the opening statements, and then they whopped us with a new video. And I've watched so many videos on this, never heard that. Because I thought he spilled a candle. I didn't know that she burned him till today. I've missed that somehow. I'm okay. Very odd few days, but I'm okay. That was new, brutal, absolutely brutal. It was. He said, "I'm bleeding." Hey, Kathy, did you watch the trial? Hey, Sasquatch.
Hello. Can
Hey.
you hear me?
Yes.
Finally, it's nice to finally talk to you. How are
Mhm.
you? So I watched the opening statements. This is on
Yeah.
Leticia. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what did you think?
I think. Hmm. I think they
How
have a really strong case against her. I don't think there's any way they're going to prove that she's sane. I mean, I'm sorry, that she's insane.
insane. It's real tough. It's a very tough approach. It's like the last thing you ever want to do. Hold on just a second. Um, the dog. The I don't know any of the background on this case. I just picked it on it while I was working. I saw I saw your um, clip, for Court TV about this
Mhm.
case, and and then they show the history of it. So it's gonna be a tough case. It's gonna be, you know, um, for the jurors. People watching it. So I don't know much about her background or anything. If any other channels or anything else have gone into it, but insanity is a very difficult defense to prove.
Hey, Warrior Grandma, especially she's already passed two. Oh gosh, I went blank. Where they check her to see if she's insane, and two times they've said no, she's not insane.
Insane to she's to now. I was just watching this. What people mix up is there's the ability to insane to the law handles insanity a whole different way than most people think. But there's the insane enough to participate in a trial, and then there's insane as a defense for a crime. So when you say the two examinations, were they for that she was capable of standing trial, or that the prosecution had experts saying that she was sane at the time of the crime?
They have experts, though they have both. They have some saying that they have one, that said she could stand trial. Then they have
Right.
another that said that she wasn't insane at the time of the crime, even though now they're saying, you heard the opening statement. He said basically, it sounds like their defense is going to be, instead of her realizing she was killing Gannon, she saw her past abusers, blah blah blah, is what they're
Yeah.
saying.
Hi, Warrior Grandma.
Hello.
Nice to meet
Hello.
you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to
Um,
meet you too.
yeah. Just so people, the one thing I wanted people don't might not realize, to the standard to this is just general, um, to stand trial on whether you're sane enough to stand trial is really low. It's like, do you understand where you are? Do you understand the charges against you? And can you help with your defense? And that's it. So that they're really, really low, which has nothing to do with whether or not you were saying, the issues at the trial. It's just that you can sit at the table and the charges can be gone against you. If anybody had any question about that, because sometimes people are like, oh, they're not together. They're a whole different, separate realm. But just how you doing, Warrior Grandma?
I'm doing well. I didn't get to see any of the stuff today, so mostly I'm just going to be listening today. Maybe cracking wise a little bit.
Cracking cracking wise.
Wise.
So, what did you think of the styles? It's kind of hard with the two attorneys. I'm always interested in other people's opinions on styles.
Oh, are
Um,
you asking me, Kathy?
well,
Because
well, you
I
said you hadn't
I
seen it,
didn't
so
watch.
The styles of the lawyers?
yeah, I know
Well,
it's my interest.
um, I thought that I liked. Well, let me see. How do I put this? I think the style of the prosecutor was, he went for it. He went straight for the, I'm going to get you in your heart, and I'm going to keep your heart in my hand. And I think that's going to be how he handles the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, the style of the defense, I feel like he's like, shit, I don't want to take this case. I'm stuck with this.
Okay.
And
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. I don't mean to laugh. It's sort of like, yeah, he's in an unenviable spot, and
Mhm,
it's glad that that's what he was. I got the same impression.
yeah. Hey, Nevaeh. Yeah, I guess they're gonna. Yes, Nevaeh, they are. Tomorrow is gonna be a good day, and I don't know how we're gonna do all these trials at one time, but it's gonna be for sure a good summer for us, not for them. And I hope that Gannon gets, because I think that I think because she had enough sense to so well clean up the crime scene.
That's part of the argument
Mhm.
for sanity, that the actions before and after immediately, that that points to sanity, and like you said, to clean it up, to move a body, how many cross country,
Yeah.
things like that.
And
Yeah, the
throw him
position.
over a bridge like he's
Yeah,
garbage.
I know. That's where it's going to get tough. And it's going to be a tough case to watch for anybody. And I used to, I feel I understand the position the defense attorney is in too. So I think, to me, I thought he did well for the position he's in. Nobody likes defense attorneys, especially in this
Right.
case.
He paid
So
for a
everybody,
fake polygraph, and they did not. I didn't. Now, Pammy, I didn't know that. That's good to know. Yeah, see, that shows right there. She's got a deck. It may not be full, but she's playing all the cards she has. So that's the
Oh yeah, fake polygraph, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
the way that he put it, he's like, "I know I'm not gonna convince you that she's innocent because she's not innocent." But
right.
basically, look.
Well, no, he has to deal with the handy, what the best way he can represent his client and with any situation, like you got to deal with reality. This is what situation you're in, and when somebody's pleading guilty by insanity, it's basically, okay, you have somebody that's killed a child, and you have to, and you start with that, and some people's attitude might be like, you kill somebody, that's, close the door, goodbye. So it's, it's an uphill. These cases are those kind of cases are very hard to win. So, and each has different procedural. Each state has different ways of standards and what they'll let in, and a lot of it changed after
Well,
President,
and
who was it, Hickman,
well,
was
and
found guilty.
we have to look at it like this too. Remember this, y'all. So I'm gonna read y'all her Google searches, okay? Because you said you didn't know. Okay, she's pleading insanity, but this was her stepson. She has children that weren't her step kids, that they were her biological kids. So her searches before she kills her stepson, one was find me a new husband book. Another one, I feel like I'm just a nanny, not a stepmom. Another one, husband uses me to babysit his kids. Another one, are there any free money to move away from bad situation? Another one, my husband never posts about me, but he does everything else. Oh, a
She had
strong figure.
she had other kids.
Yeah, her daughter's
I
going to
didn't.
testify against her. My husband only cleans up for the army, not me. I'm just a glorified babysitter. Another one, find a new husband. Another one, sent my husband sexual messages and he ignores them. Another one, make my husband want me more. Another one, I feel like my husband uses me to babysit his kid. And the last one, find a guy without kids.
But she had her own kids,
Hmm.
so she would in the same age range. So in other
Ah,
words, she wasn't it by in some insane, or whatever you think reason of getting rid of one child would take off a burden of watching all children. You
not
know what I
just
mean?
just her, because if you notice her Google searches lean more towards my stepson, my
Right.
husband who brought this kid with him. Yeah, and only one. Yeah, I said other kids, but you're right. Harley. She has a daughter named Harley, and I believe she is a teenager. Um, so
Okay. Less care. I mean, less day to day.
very much less care
Yeah. Yeah.
because he was
What
what
Uh,
is
10. Yeah.
what is
huh?
her husband's name?
I don't know. Let me look it up.
Because I mean, I'm wondering
Why wasn't the
if he was
child with the
aware of
mother?
how she was feeling, and if so, then
I think he
should
was
have been a red
deployed, wasn't
flag.
he? Wasn't he deployed? And if he was
No,
deployed,
no, no, no. He wasn't in Iraq. No, he just
oh,
he was in the National Guard and he was away for his National Guard weekend. Ow.
oh, oh. When they said away, I think I thought more for long term, a weekend. Oh, because I was sitting thinking, if this person was, if the husband was away, deployed,
Am
why
I
was
wrong, y'all?
why was the child not just with his mother? If it was a long space of time, but if it's a short space of time, that's a whole different story.
Yeah. Okay, so her daughter was 18, hey Jerry, then that was her only biological kid. Yeah, that's right, because the other girl in the video says, and they're from Colorado. I don't know why I thought they were from South Carolina.
I honestly, I wish I knew more facts. I literally watched it because of your video that made me aware of this case, and I can listen to it while I'm on the computer. So I went over to Court TV and watched a little bit of the background. So I hadn't really paid any attention to this before
Well,
today.
it does seem like it happened, like a long time ago. Like I guess a lot of people when it first came out, he had lied to stay with the lady he was having an affair with. I didn't know that. That's why he was ignoring her sexual advances. Mm.
Lovely.
Yep, they lived in Colorado, and yeah, now I knew he was found in Florida. And yesterday I said, I think it's Colorado to Florida, and then today I got him in South Carolina. They're from South Carolina. Gotcha. Gotcha, Kimberly.
Oh, okay.
I thought, well, I think he was in the army, but he went down to National Guard, so he wasn't deployed or anything.
Right,
He,
right.
yeah. Do you
He
think
was
we'll hear more about the family dynamic regarding? Yeah, well, the biological mother, I've a,
I just seen an interview. I don't know why, it it'll come in if it has maybe if they had custody. I don't know who had custody, if it was joint custody, if it was just the father had weekends and then the father was away the weekend.
no, the son lived with his dad. I know that the son lived with
Oh,
his dad full time. Yeah.
okay. All
Now
right.
I don't know why. The mom, of course, was tore up, obviously, and her heart's broken.
No, of
And
course.
everybody's gonna side eye her because that's what we do to moms that don't have their kids. We do, and that's the truth.
Very true. I mean, do you remember, it's always going back to the English nanny with the baby, the sudden shaken baby syndrome, where, the husband and wife worked, and the husband really wasn't cross-examined, but the wife was, like, for 2 days and the big question was, why was she working and why did they need an au pair or a nanny? It's like, yeah, this is fair. They're both the parents of this child, but she's getting cross-examined because
Right.
she's worked. So what do you think of what do you think of I'm curious, what do you think of the insanity plea in and of itself? Or do you like theoretical conversations? I don't want to.
Oh yeah, yeah, I do. What do I think of the insane? I believe that it's a very real thing. I think that you can snap. I believe that you can have enough and lose your mind and do things in the moment. I do.
But do we forgive that? I don't know. I like theories. That's why,
I
and
think I don't know
part of
if
it
we.
is
Yeah, we actually I do think we forgive it and get them help instead of punishment. I do believe that we give a lot more punishment in this country than we do help.
oh, I agree with that. I agree with that. I mean,
I mean, just like this mom, let me be clear where I stand. I admire a mom who says, "You know what? I'm not able to do this. I'm gonna I'm gonna let my child go where I think my child is the safest until I'm stable enough, and then we can work something out." And I
yes,
admire that.
I admire
But
it too.
yeah, but most people do think, "Well, why wouldn't the mom do this, that?" And she, like they said, she came straight away and she was staying in the house with the dad while they were looking for Gannon. And I remember an interview that Leticia did where she's really pissed off because his mom is staying in my husband's ex-wife is staying in our house and I'm supposed to stay there. Like, yeah, bitch, her son's missing.
Exactly. There's a point in life where you have to rise to the occasion of being an adult, whether you want to or not. And there are certain ones that are just, beyond question. And that's the type when a child is missing, everybody is expected to have some semblance of humanity to behave and put their priorities in order rather than being mad that an ex-wife is staying at their house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, It's difficult. I mean, the issue became like when Reagan was shot. The issue was really prevalent because, is it in some states changed. I don't know if they continued it with insane guilt. Not it would be guilty, but insanity, not instead of the not guilty by insanity. And so because people, it's a difficult concept that one set, that one moment, yet you didn't appreciate right from there's all every state has different definitions, so I'm not even sure how they define it. So there's like an irresistible impulse. There's been the all these type of definitions, because words don't define that one moment where you don't understand the consequences of what you're doing, and that the area of the law will cover and say, okay, you're not responsible.
Yeah.
But anyway, um, do you what do you think the case will be like?
Mm. I think this is going to be a tough one. I think that, well, I honestly, I mean, he said today, you heard him say, I read y'all's questionnaires, and so it sounds to me like they've already got her convicted. That's just,
Well,
it sounds like the jury was honest. They couldn't find a jury that didn't think she was, uh,
well, keep in mind he didn't say, he said the questionnaires or their questionnaires as well. But what happens is they give out questionnaires, and through the questionnaires they get rid of a lot of jurors. All
mm,
you have to say is, "I can't be impartial." That's all you have to say, and all attorneys will go, "Bye bye." So while those were answers on questionnaires, they weren't necessarily the answers that these jurors gave, because I would be very surprised if these jurors said, that they were that convinced that she was guilty. Because I don't know what a defense attorney would put somebody on a jury like that. If they were if they equivocated, if they weren't sure, they didn't know. That's what you're looking for. You know what I mean?
mm.
So when he says, "I read your questionnaires," it doesn't necessarily mean their questionnaires. It could mean the questionnaire. It was an interesting way to use the
Well, then,
questionnaire.
yeah, I'm gonna say then he absolutely phrased his sentence wrong because it sounded like he was talking straight to the jury
Oh,
that he
about
had in that room. Mhm,
about their own questionnaires,
mhm,
not the questionnaires or the
yeah,
jury pooled
yeah, because
questionnaires.
he specifically said, "I read your,"
Oh, so
not,
your
yeah, not the
okay.
overall. So,
Um,
but I think that there's gonna be a ton against her, and then I think her defense is gonna be, for I can't think of a better word than lackluster. Like, it's what is she gonna say?
well, I think anybody who has issues in regard to child abuse should not watch this case, because from just what I can glean from, what their kind of evidence they have to put in regard to her abuse as a child, to establish that's what he was discussing,
Mm,
her upbringing.
so
Um,
Jerry, I'm sorry to interrupt, but Jerry just
yeah,
said something very, very interesting. Said the abuse had been going on for a while. The school had contacted the dad, Al, they're saying Al before, and Al said she was just strict and something about punishment is the reserves way or some bullshit like that. So that's not good.
no, no,
Mm.
yeah, a lot of people would not want to sit in there on a trial, any type of trial involving a crime against a child. It's not easy. It's not easy at all.
No, I can't imagine. I can't.
Yeah,
Because they said today you're gonna have to look at, well,
picture.
because yeah, and what he said though, and that was the defense. They said
Yeah,
you're gonna have to look at autopsy videos, so before you make before you decide, you wait for the autopsy. So what is the autopsy gonna show us? It's gonna show us 18 stab wounds, a gunshot wound. It's gonna show us a blunt force trauma to the head in a nice way. What did I don't know why.
no, I think he
When
was. He may have been reinforcing the fact that this is what's coming. In other words, um, you don't diffuse it, but it's sort of like, you're telling people, okay, you're going to be seeing horrific things here, and that yet the horrific things are what they'll try to do is separate the horrific things to what the issues they have to deal with, and and that will happen as it goes along. So it's like the more times you see ghastly photographs, the more you get used to them. Not that they're doing that in this case, but the more you hear about what you're going to have to deal with, the more ready you are to deal with it, and not as blown away as some of these photos can be. So it's kind of just laying a foundation for the fact that, like, acknowledging, you're gonna have to go through. Really gonna have to go through the ringer on this, and um, you know, and they're going to blame her for that too. Have to sit through this, and you know, it's kind of it's just a way of preparing and trying to get the jurors used to the fact that they're going to be even seeing these photos, because some of these photos, they're not they're not going. The photos they're going to see
Mm.
are going to be worse than they can probably ever expect.
Oh, yeah, because this isn't even I mean, I hate to say this, but there's no other way to put it. He had been in the suitcase in the water for a couple of months.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, it's
Um,
not.
so and that that can affect, just seeing those photographs can affect, because it's emotional. I mean, you bring emotion. Yeah.
Yeah. And then y'all, so get ready because y'all heard him say, um, they're showing the picture that she took a picture for some reason the day before, and you see the pillow and the blankets, and then she put the pillow and the blankets in the suitcase with him. So those are part of the evidence too. Imagine, oh, me either. I couldn't be mm-mm. I don't think I could be a juror on a trial like that. No, absolutely not. You'll never get those out of your head. Like the trial we just watched, the Murdaugh trial. How many jurors are probably messed up forever from that stuff,
Yeah,
having to see all
yeah,
that.
yeah. They should in some. I don't. They don't. But they should in some ways offer some counseling for people who go through some of these major trials. I think, but
Mm. Yeah,
and
I wonder if
especially
they do.
I've never heard of it, but it's something that you know I don't know if we have enough mental health care professionals in this country to do it, but and the state's not going to pay for it. Maybe some states do. It's just not where I'm around. So where your grandma? What do you think this trial is going to be like?
Well, I mean, yeah, defense doesn't defense doesn't have much to go on. But I'm really curious about what Al, her husband, is going to say, because if he
Mm,
thought that she was unhinged, he left his child in an unsafe situation.
mhm.
Right,
So
but
he can't say
you're right. You
he
can't.
can't be on her side at all.
No, but is
But
and then then you have to question, is he, did he, see, this is all, it's all this, that's what's it's interesting about trials, and because they're just stories of people, and it's questions of like, would 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 somebody be willing to even admit to themselves that in some ways they could be morally responsible, because they
yeah,
refuse
that's what I
to
was
see,
gonna say. That's what I was
you
gonna say.
yeah, because you refuse to see the signals because you didn't want to see them. It would have been inconvenient to see them. It would have been whatever reason.
Well, the only thing that would guilt or feeling guilty about it, feeling that you shouldn't have left him, feeling that you should have paid more attention, whatever. Like the guilt would
Oh yeah.
override the self preservation, wouldn't it?
Some people yes, some people no. Some people, I mean, some people would
I think
never
so.
admit it. Would never admit it out to anybody else. Some people won't admit it to themselves. It just depends on the person.
Yeah, I think it go so there was a case, Tiffany Moss. I don't know if y'all remember this or not. Tiffany Moss had a stepdaughter who she hated. Like, she loved her kids, her husband's kids. What was her daughter? What was the name? Does anybody remember the Tiffany Moss trial? She represented herself and never spoke. Um, Monty Moss was the little girl that she abused, and the little girl died, and Iman was her dad. Now he was in prison because he was very complacent in the abuse. He would act like he would just pretend like he didn't see it going on. He helped get rid of the body, though, so he was more active in the cover up. But he was, guilty. So why wouldn't her? If he knew, I don't believe that you can live in a house with a child and not know that child's being treated differently than another child in the house, or that a child's being abused. Hey, Antonio, and I
Uh,
could be wrong, but you would really have
well,
to have your head in the sand.
I think that um, parents that can be very manipulative with their children. I mean, you see this in sex abuse cases all the time when the other parent didn't know what was going
Yes.
on. It had more to do with the fact that the offending spouse was had the child convinced of to keep their mouth shut, and a lot of people really don't see the signs unless you're looking for it. You
And
know,
and yeah, and what you said, Warrior Grandma, about, you're interested to see what he said, because we found out now he had a girlfriend. He was cheating.
oh
He was
Lord,
obviously ignoring his wife by her Google searches. So, you know, she probably took her anger out with her husband out on his child. Anybody agree with that?
it could be that goes against insanity, though.
Yeah, I
That,
don't think
that
he's insane at
no,
all.
I mean, and he sounds like a creep, but that's morally, that's not legally. But it'd be an interesting trial. Mm. I
She
hate
had a
when it's
history of being bad. It is. I'm all the way in again, so here we go, y'all. And it's hard when you can't see them, because you just can listen. But what I'm hoping is, because today we saw the pictures. They had the camera on the pictures. Usually they cover them up, and then there were some people in the live stream. Now I watched the live stream on Long Crime, and they were like, "Oh yay, we can see the pictures." I'm like, I don't want to see the pictures.
no, and hopefully certain things I'm sure they'll let us show, and hopefully they're learning because cameras in the courtroom is a very relatively um, new thing. In 20 years, or I remember years ago they want when they first wanted to bring it in, they didn't want it for certain reasons, such as pictures of the faces of jurors, things like that. I mean, they're still not allowed in federal court, although they're changing now. But
Well, I
it's
don't know. I mean, my daughter is, how long is OJ? That was televised.
yeah, that was
Seems to me like
California, in the state of California. No, I just mean,
Menendez brothers. What year was that? I mean, I say I disagree, but I mean, I know what you're saying, and I don't think we saw any of the jurors on the OJ trial. I don't know about the Menendez
no, no, we didn't. We didn't. And also, I mean,
brothers.
but they made that in the Murdoch case, just a quick side, the way the camera moved. But I'm sure it's been taken notice in judicial circles, so they're going to be a little more careful with
It's,
some of the pictures.
yeah, yeah. I
You know,
hope. I just Okay. Tree Frog said, "And how are you doing, Tree Frog?" I disagree with that. My brother's partner treated his daughter bad. My brother started doing it too without realizing it. He was, until I started saying something. You know what? That's a good point, because you convince yourself a kid is bad. That's a good point.
or somebody else convinces
Yeah.
you by telling you by slanting, well,
Mhm.
your child
Yeah.
did this, your child did that, your child is acting like that when you're not there, but you believe them, and just slanting it just a certain way. It does make
Yeah.
sense. It does make sense.
Feel free to pop in, Warrior Grandma.
But
Yeah, please wear
I
your
was gonna,
ring.
I was just gonna say that if that, then that's not insanity.
No,
That's, yeah. That's
That's manipulation.
premeditated. That's on purpose. If you're slanting your husband's, opinion of his son,
Yeah, that's I don't like this child.
not
It's basically
insanity at
yeah.
all. So they have to, but they're going to have to be real careful what they
They're
bring
very,
in and what they don't, because yeah, it's a fine line, as you said.
I don't think there's any way she'll get insanity, but I think that
it's a very,
sh
very hard thing to win on. It's
well,
when you don't win anything, but it's a those are like one of the hardest type of cases to win on. So I mean, they're going in knowing that it's if they had
yes,
anything else, they would bring it up.
So can I just clarify? She's pled innocent, or has she pled innocent by reason of insanity?
No, we don't. They don't use the term innocence. It's not guilty
Oh,
by reason of
not
insanity,
guilty. Sorry.
yeah, well,
which
that's what I
yeah.
think that's her plea, but this is Rosebud brings up a very good point too. Absolutely. She killed him. It was very personal and brutal. Like, normally, you don't hear of a child being stabbed, and he was stabbed 18 times.
No, you don't. And usually they have this thing about
Very.
how women commit crimes versus men commit crimes and things like that, and what
Mhm.
tools they use. It's
Well,
it's theories, which
a
always have
woman,
exceptions.
but in theory, women don't usually use knives, right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm gonna say that's what they say. You know what I mean? But there's always exceptions to rules.
I just wanted to
You
answer.
know, they're usually not as physical. They'll use the less physical type of way to kill someone, like smothering a child or um, poisoning them or things like that, or more what they said, quote, women's type of weapons. But it doesn't mean any, it's just a generalization.
Stabbed, shot, and burned. And don't forget, there was a hey Vicky,
Mm.
there is a crack to the skull too.
Well, that could have been that could have been post mortem, depending on
Well,
how.
they didn't tell it like that. I'm assuming they had the
I don't know. Like I said, I am very, all I saw was what the jury saw today. I don't know if the injury, um, a crack in the skull could have been caused after death or simply by her throwing him off a bridge.
yeah.
You know,
And I
I,
did think that, but then I thought, well, the attorney brought it up in his opening statement. He said, "Cracked his skull like an egg." That was his words. And so I thought, you know, yeah,
so
she was
well,
in a front, shot 3 times and missed twice and hit once.
what? Oh my god!
Mhm.
Did you have? I wonder if she had experience with the gun.
Obviously not. If you miss twice. I mean, golly, that
Well, I'm
sounds
just
bad,
saying.
but
No, no, I'm saying it. Which I mean, if you're very experienced and you're missing, does that mean you're in a frenzy, or does that mean you're
good point,
just
good
in
point, good
shock?
point.
Yeah.
And I didn't they go into his pillow because they got his pillow and it was, all 3 of the shots, I think, but the one that hit, it was in the jaw, and they didn't pull it out till autopsy.
Yeah, we don't have well, not guilty is not the same as innocent, although we kind of use it that way. It just means that it's not proven by reasonable doubt. I mean, actually, I don't know if it's Scotland or England that has three. It's innocent, not proven, and or guilty. They have three different types of uh, verdicts, but we just have the guilty or not guilty. But I just wanted to come up and say hello, really, more than anything else, and
No,
say
I'm glad you did. Glad you did.
I'm glad you put that on because I wouldn't have watched. Well, I've listened to it really more than watched it. And what is the other trial coming up that you said?
It's the Lori
That's a
Vallow case.
oh, the suitcase one?
No, that's coming up too.
Oh my
That's coming
god.
up too. That's Sarah Boone. The
I have
Lori Vallow Chad Daybell, and it's I guess her name is Lori Daybell actually, but she there's so many that fell just dropped dead around her. They were kind of cultish and thought they were. There's a Netflix special that really breaks it down.
wow. Yeah, I think what was the name of the Netflix special? I may have seen it.
Sins of the Mother, I think.
Yes, I think I know which one you mean. The suitcase one, when you guys showed that clip of the guy in the suitcase talking, I'm like, that was like, I don't think I want to watch that trial.
Oh,
I
I'm
don't
not.
I don't
I'm
want
gonna
to see
be.
that again.
I'm gonna be. Oh, I'm so into that because she's like not on purpose or
Oh,
it wasn't intentional.
but she's talking to him and he's in the can you let me out of this suitcase? I was like, oh my God. Just on a personal level, that's like horrified. But so, where grandma, what do you think about the insanity defense?
Well, I think they're reaching on this one in
Yeah.
particular. I just was too much planning before and
Mm-hmm.
after for her
Mm-hmm.
to be unhinged. In general, I think there's a place for that. I really do. I think there is. Um, I can't remember the name of the lady, but there was a woman a number of years ago who killed her children. They were
Yes.
both school age, and
Yes.
I think she shot them anyway because she was convinced of something she was going through. And the family was well aware that she was on medication and going through this stuff and whatever. That to me, I don't think she had any idea what she was doing. I
Yeah.
watched that trial and I just don't believe she what she was doing until after.
Right.
And then she
Well,
tried to off herself. But so there is a place for that because you can't lose it. And
yeah. I mean, the big one was the Andrea Yates case, but I
that
guess
was her.
that was the five that she drowned,
Oh, oh my
and
gosh.
Mhm.
she had a real. I mean, the press didn't even go into the amount of times this woman had sought help, and the the devastating her postpartum her history of
Yes.
extreme postpartum depression, and then to continue having children, which she didn't want, and then in the hospitals just sending her home, so just was a horrendous thing, I thought, um,
Yes.
because there was some, if there was a flare in the air, I mean, there was 20 of them, but
Yeah.
yeah, um, versus I think it'd be interesting. I hate to say interesting because it sounds very cruel, but it will with this trial be interesting to see. As Rose said, her daughter traveled with her. I don't know if her daughter knew. I would hope not that her daughter
I
knew that there was a body in the car. I'm sorry that there was
I
that this
seriously
guy.
doubt it. Yeah, I doubt it, but they said she's gonna testify against her, and so I wonder. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's sometimes testifying against just means that the prosecution is calling her, and what she says is not going to be in her. The truth is not to her mother's benefit. I agree with you, Paisley Pumps. I agree with you. Andrew Yates' husband should have been charged because there are a lot of things that didn't make the press of how this woman was treated, and just and the postpartum. It wasn't postpartum depression. It was postpartum psychosis that she had gone through with previous children, and he still wanted more, and she acquiesced. Anyway, that's one of my soapbox things. So What would convince you that she was insane? I'm curious. Can I play this devil's advocate a little bit? Like, what would you think? Or I don't know. How could you like
Mm,
lose it? To fit, like now the Andrea Yates, she had a long hit. She had a history
Yeah.
of really, this woman needed desperate,
I
desperate help.
I think that would be what it would take to convince me. A
Mhm.
history of mental illness and the fact that Andrea Yates, because as soon as we heard about Andrea Yates, I don't know if everyone feels the same. If y'all remember when you heard about Susan Smith and then you
Yes,
heard about Andrea Yates.
yes,
Susan Smith, yeah, she's on TV and she's like, please, please bring me my kids back.
that was
And
horrendous.
yes. And then you have Andrea Yates who did all this and then called the cops or called her husband to come home. Didn't try to cover it up. Didn't didn't even defend herself. Just
Oh,
said,
she looked like a rug. I mean, she just looked so out of it.
yeah, that's insanity. That is, and I've always thought that her husband should get in some kind of trouble. I don't know what they could have even charged him with, but I
Like,
feel like, you know,
yeah, yeah, that's where you get into the morally,
yeah,
a low life. I'm watching my language, but legally, and then there are also people who would be very sympathetic. He did lose his children, and there's all
yeah.
these other things. Do you want to continue going down that road? But I don't know. Is rage sufficient to be insanity? Anger, really, really angry.
I
Uh,
think momentarily you can get that angry. I mean, I honestly thought that perhaps there was a moment with Gannon where she just lost it with him, and then after that there was no turning back. But to find out he was in bed when he was shot, that's a whole different ball game there.
And to hear the manipulation when she comes to him and says, "Are you sure you didn't do this on purpose?" Which I think it was spill a candle. We're going to have to sell furniture to pay for this so we don't lose our home. I mean, and he's crying his eyes out. He's hurt.
Well, and you don't know how she was raised. I mean, that
but that's
sort
what.
of way of treating a child, she could have been treated that way too. But and that's not excusing her,
No, but
but it's unfortunately it's a repeating pattern.
and that's what the opening
Mhm.
statement of the defense attorney was about, mentioning
Absolutely.
her horrific childhood,
Yeah.
and which is what I think he mentioned: dissociative states, multiple personality. I don't know. I was not listening to too much, but of when you get expert coming in, sometimes they're hard to understand, and there's a thing in law, they cancel each other out. So if you like both experts, and sometimes you worry as an attorney, are the experts canceling each other out, and the jury doesn't care anymore and just says screw it, they're guilty. Um, and I'm not putting down jurors, but sometimes I've seen experts who are just like, how did they get out of medical school, let alone psychiatric? But but you're right. But where you're going, you're right. It's going to be that. I think it's going to be a key issue for the defense, of laying down the foundation of maybe of having being brutally abused, being unable to of a history of snapping, or just that it was building up to a volcano.
But I think it will be really important to find out for them to be able to prove autopsy wise, um, etc., if he was up and about when he was killed. Because if
Yeah,
if he was in bed, then he
right.
was not aggravating her.
Did he? Yeah. Or did she just? Or did she? Did he hit his head? Did you put him on the bed, and then did you try to stab him? Then how to exactly how they've figured out the motions, of how the crime actually happened as best they can through like the blood splatter and things like that. Of
Well, just and you spoke before about the knife thing, the stabbing, and how women don't do that on
in
usually.
theory,
Yeah,
it's not.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I mean, my right away, my brain when I heard it was 18 stab wounds, I thought there's a there's a chance I would buy that she lost it and was doing something with a knife in the kitchen and just stabbed him because she was so angry at him, and then
went
that
after him.
started things. Yeah, but that still doesn't put him in bed. So,
Right. So it depends on if they found blood anywhere else in the house. Yeah, because I mean
well, the
that would make more
the
sense actually, because the child lying down, if
is
you have a knife,
defenseless
is defenseless.
and
But
not aggravating anybody. There.
yeah, but and to stab is kind of a,
Well, I
I don't
believe
know.
that, they said that some of these stab wounds were on his hands and arms. Hey, November Rain.
Those are
It-
defensive ones. Yeah.
yeah, he did have defensive wounds. So he tried to fight back. And from what I'm understanding, there was only blood in his room and then the room that she put him in after he died.
Okay.
That's, because they did. I mean, she cleaned it well, but they still
Yeah.
found some blood. Oh, and of course in her, I think her vehicle. I'm not 100% sure on that, but
Well, that wouldn't be unusual. You know what I mean? The vehicle she transported in. It's gonna,
yeah.
if anybody prays, pray for the jury, because that's
Oh
gonna be
yeah,
you know,
Yes.
a tough situation. A tough situation. Well, I think it'd be interesting on a non-involved way. Not not saying that it breaks everybody's heart to see any child that's hurt or killed. No. Yeah.
yeah. I guess that's probably the we can sit and talk about it all day because we don't have to be involved in it. I mean,
Exactly.
we get involved, but we're not involved. Not really. It's not gonna. Like with the Murdaugh trial, that's all I thought about all the time. I dreamed about it,
Well,
but
well, trials. Well, there's stories. I mean, human nature. I mean, to me, human nature is stories. Like, um, from plays to family histories to a trial. It's all we are. As human, our nature is to tell stories, or because our lives are stories. That's how I view it. Like I said, I get a little too philosophical. My friends usually roll their eyes when I start talking about. My good friends are like, "Oh God, here she goes," and they walk away. But they've known me many, many years, so I've learned to stop. But so in a trial is a story too, but it's just a very horrific. But but there's a detachment because we do not know these people. Um, you know, and so we can find this. I think we can find the story interesting, learn things from it, maybe without hopefully feeling guilty about it. Just
yeah,
remember a child is gone, and maybe something. You hope maybe somebody will learn something from it. You never know, and people should be punished
absolutely.
if they do these things. Um, anyway, well, that was mine. That's I just wanted to ask. Give my 2 cents and see how y'all felt about. Because I find it very, I find it hard too. It's, where's what line? Where's this line of insane, which gives you a lack of responsibility in a way? And how do we find it? How do we judge it? You know, is it split second? Is it? I agree with you guys with it. It's always what the person did before and after. It's very important.
Oh,
Um,
Mom Stone, you're fine. You're fine. I'm sorry. I need to think before I speak. I think it's interesting too, and I think that well, because
oh, understand. Oh, that's so cute. Um, I know. It is okay if I see you in chat, if I say just hi Stone, is that okay? Because I really find that as a northerner, we don't call anybody mama. So I find it really difficult, like with the mama bear and the mama bear. No, no, not making points about them. It's just the name. It's like I can't say that name. I'm older than them too. Yeah, it's
well,
really fun.
I think it just stuck with me because I was raised by my nanny, and one time I said, "Can I call you mama?" And she said, "No, you had a mother." And that just stuck. And so I never called anybody mama. I never had that pleasure, got to. But
Right,
she instilled in me, you had a mom. Don't
right.
disrespect her by
Calling
calling
anybody else.
someone else. Yeah. And so it just stuck.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to me, maybe it's I lived in Florida for a few years, and the first time when I was and I didn't go to the New York parts. I didn't want to like move to a different state to live all with all New Yorkers. So I made it a point of meeting people from other areas, especially. And the first time somebody called me Miss Kathy, I was like, "What?" I had never been called that because it's a very southern thing, and I had not been south that often, and which I think is charming. I think it's absolutely charming. But up in New York, nobody does that. New York, New Jersey. So that's the way I see with the mama thing too. To me, I didn't have any personal connection with it, but I completely understand the reasoning. But it's just, I would never call anybody mama, first of all, and then I said I would never call anybody else mom, but my mom. It's just a way. So please don't. But Mama Stone, I love your name.
We will call you
Um,
Mama Stone and won't think anything about
exactly,
it.
exactly. Yeah.
Well,
So
y'all,
I'll end.
we stayed on an hour, and I think this was a good conversation, especially for what little bit we got today. And maybe, possibly, you can tune in a little bit tomorrow, Warrior Grandma, if you get a chance.
If you go to if you want to watch the opening statements, there are many channels. I was watching them on Chasing Truth. They had already. I was watching them after dinner, uh, not while they were going on. So, and I'm
Yeah,
sure
well,
Court.
I did it on Law and Crime because I didn't want anybody talking. I didn't know if that the ones that streamed it, if they were going to be talking or whatnot. Um, so that's why I watched
Yeah.
Law and Crime. It wasn't a slight to anyone else. I just wanted to
No, no.
hear it and
Chasing Truth, she didn't give comments. But did she just play? But she gave commentary afterward. But I was just listening to it. But I
mm,
forgot. But the court TV looks like they only did one of the openings, but I didn't look that closely, and I forgot about Law and Crime. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna go and subscribe to them too, because I know what you
oh
mean.
yeah, I get a
Sometimes you
lot of my
don't want the commentary. I like.
yeah.
Sometimes I like it depending on what kind of case it is.
Yeah, right, Ivy Lynn. Now, I mean, I do like some commentary, but not in the middle of it if I'm trying to like picture it and listen and I was doing dishes and listening and so
Sorry, I was reading Ivy Lynn. So.
oh yeah, good old Barb. She's-
I can't believe she did. I never watched her honestly. I can't believe she did trial.
Yeah,
Wow.
she streamed it today, but she's a true crimer. She's
Yeah.
real. She gets in there and watches this stuff. She, reads it straight out of the newspaper, just exactly in the monotone. Just do do do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, these are people's lives. Well, I don't know. I don't watch her. So this I'm just
Thank you, Mary.
everybody likes different styles. I mean,
Yeah,
that's why I asked about the styles of attorneys, because ultimately the style is irrelevant. And as time goes by, it's usually the first day you see their styles, and then more interested in the witnesses and things like that. Um, but um, but I'm always interested because it's just like anything else, you're watching people and seeing how they're doing their job type of thing.
right, right. Well, thank y'all so much for coming up. Y'all, this was a great live. Thank y'all for participating. And
Thank you so much for allowing me to come up.
thank you
I
for coming
appreciate it.
up. And
And Warrior
thank you,
Grandma,
Warrior Grandma, for coming up.
and
And
it's
Mhm.
nice
I will,
finally to talk to
yes,
you as well as Warrior Grandma. All right, I'm
it's
gonna go.
fun.
Oh,
All
it was
right. And I
good.
will, y- I thought so. And I will talk to y'all very soon. Bye, y'all.
Bye bye.